Good afternoon, and what is a cool, bright and sunny day. It is Friday the 28th of October. I've got a nice hot cup of tea and a parcel to unbox. So, knife out. Okay, and what I've got in here is this, which is Tales of the Red, Street Stories, 9 missions full of action and intrigue for Cyberpunk RED. Now Cyberpunk RED is published by Talsorian Games. It's essentially the sequel to Cyberpunk 2020 and Cyberpunk 2030X. And is essentially the 4th edition of the classic Cyberpunk role-playing game. First published, 1988, and then at Cyberpunk 2020 followed soon after. Now this is set in the year 2045, and is a prequel. The role-playing game is a prequel to the Cyberpunk 2077, which is the computer game. So, what we've got here is a collection of scenarios or adventures for Cyberpunk. So, Tales of the Red, Street Stories. Night City is a big place full of wild parties, dead bodies and neon lights. Beneath a thin layer of advertising and grime, it's got some tales to tell. Stories of vicious gangs, hell-bent artificial intelligence and love. You'll get to meet suave mercenaries and movie stars and even take a ride in a submarine. You'll fight cyber psychos, dirty reporters, rival edge runners and a high-flying assault team. The city is voracious and it needs more bodies to chew on, and you'll supply them one way or another. When the pages of this book, seemingly simple jobs spiral wildly out of control, and Herculean tasks can be solved with a single bullet. It's your city, it hates you, it loves you, and you can't help but feel the same. But, there's adventure to be had here, and if you know what's good for you, you've got to experience it, chumba. Tales of the Red, Street Stories is a mission booklet for Red. Cyberpunk RED, the latest edition of a classic tabletop role-playing game of the dark future. It's a collection of 9 never-seen-before full-length missions ready to play with your crew. Okay, so, side, it's a nice hardback. Artwork again, for the page, and then we start off with contents, and that's neatly organised there, with the basically, here's the content, here's the pages, here's the illustrations. That's a nice touch. I'll just remove that business card, because I'll need that. I will need that. Night at the Opera, Darkness of Desire in Night City. We've got a contents page here, which gives you a brief overview of each of the adventures, just a very quick description. Night at the Opera, which has its own connotations when it comes to role-playing, because we automatically think, Delta Green for a Night at the Opera, but this is entirely different because it presumably will actually take place at the opera. So, background, and then we go into the rest of the story, the setting, the opposition, the hook. Essentially, this sets the whole thing up in a page. So it's telling you the background, that's what you read aloud to the players, the rest of the story for the benefit of the game master, and the setting where it takes place and so on. The opposition involved, and then the hook, which is what's pulling the player characters to get involved, and then we get into the meat of the adventure itself, such as buying tickets at the Cliff, a Night at the Opera, and this is really something you start off as sort of like your first adventure, and you're going, right, we're playing Cyberpunk, we're edge runners, we live on the edge, etc, etc. We're going to the opera. That's really unexpected. So we've got to plan the opera, some of the opposition they'll face there, development, noodles and info, and so on. Essentially, from that encounter, that spins out the rest of the story. We get down to the climax where we've got a monster hunt. We've got some decent maps there as well, basically for the benefit of the game master. And then Then we've got net architecture, which shows you the very simple way of laying out the current net architecture or .NET architecture in Cyberpunk RED, which is done essentially by level, basically story by story in terms of if it was a building, followed by NPC stat blocks. So like a Philharmonic, Vampire Mook, the Clown, Inquisitor Mook, the Monk, and so on. Lord Ruthen, Night Predator, all very vampiric. And of course, the thing is that what you can have in Cyberpunk 2045 or Cyberpunk RED and Night City is you can mod yourself up to look like a vampire, teeth, pale complexion, the whole 9 yards through modification. Then we've got next one is Agents of Desire. We've got a nice little advert there for sort of like in things like cactus water and so on, which if you've played Cyberpunk 2077 you'll remember picking up and selling because it's mostly junk. Agents of Desire, the case of the missing girlfriend. So again we've got this setup, background, read alert, the rest of the story, the setting, the opposition, the hook, getting everything up necessary to play for your players. Okay, what's involved? So this is a missing persons hunt, some decent illustrations, so a lot brighter, breezier perhaps than you might expect in a Cyberpunk story, but that really works too. That's it's the contrast. An interesting location, high class joint, where there's a heist and so on. So quite easy to read, quite clear and simple laid out, easy maps, and then we have things like a section there confronting AI. There we've got the just basic details, extra details for the benefit of the game master. And next we've got more architecture. And essentially with this, in Cyberpunk RED, the netrunner has to be on scene rather than sitting at home in the basement plugged into the net, because there is no net. It's all local architecture. And here we've got the stats. No advert before we get into the next adventure, which is a bucket full of popcorn, flavoured kibble, lights, camera, drama. And this is going to take you into sort of like storytelling and movie making and that sort of thing, into the world of producing media. Okay, again, nice range of artwork. So we've got in here. We get to Drummer and the Whale, Treasure Beneath the Sea. So we do indeed have a submarine one. Again, nice range of adventures I think in here. Basic first glance through, lots of variations. The idea, okay, you're going in a submarine, really? Yes. Something that your player characters on average are really going to be unequipped for. Are going to have to do their best. And of course we've got some virtual otters, because if you can't have otters, you can have virtual otters. Either way, utterly amazing. And I'm not apologising for that pun. And then we've got the deck plans. The submarine, pretty plain and simple. But then again, I don't suppose submarine technology will have improved that but much in the next 25 years or so. We've got more detailed net architecture, essentially including that of the SS McDonaldson. And stats for the various NPCs involved, because quite a few more stats here, so this one's a bit more complex and so on. Drones and vehicles and gear, so turning up the complexity. More adverts before we get into haven't got a stitch to wear, a suit worth dying for. I bet that's going to be about fashion. And again, that's a nice precursor or a nod to Cyberpunk 2077, where you can go into clothes shops and buy yourself new gear, make yourself look good and so on. and this includes going to a night market. You know, basically one of the sort of like the pop-up kind of markets where you can buy all sorts of things. You know, from reconditioned guns to food and kibble to, you know, suits and nice outfits. Plain and simple. The only thing I'm kind of missing from the scenario is you've got these NPCs, but not all of them are illustrated. It would have been nice for more of more illustrations of the NPC. Then we've got the Reaping the Reaper. The call is coming from inside your head. So we do have a thumbnail portrait, but not necessarily associated with the NPC stats at the back, which would have been useful. We only have that weird diamond skull thing from the front, basically from the back page. So that's the Reaper itself, presumably. And then we have this is quite a lengthy adventure. What looks to be like a weird disco location. And more stats, a bit more complex. Then we have Staying Vigilant, 3 Crews Dead, will yours be next? Some more, same organisation, background, rest of the story, the setting, the opposition, the hook. Really nice way of setting, again, nice way of setting things up. I'm just going to flip through this to show you. So we're in an even bigger location there, so flip through this just to show you what's in the book. So you've even got an illustration of kind of a showdown, presumably between one major NPC and these are sort of meant to be the player characters. But the thing is with this book is you put it together with something like the data pack, which has got a booklet of scream sheets in it, mini adventures that the game master can run, and you've got play this. You've got quite a lot to play with in terms of support for the game. Got Bathed in Red, which is a night of fun or a night of terror. You know, the sort of thing where a night out turns bad. You know, if you're dancing at the place called Delirium, you know it's going to go bad. It's an alternative lifestyle club. So yeah. More of the artwork. We've got One Night Red, the final curtain falls, which was in the last scenario in the booklet, and it's a much longer one. Presumably you've either got a rampant night on the charge or something coming straight out of the net or something like that. You've got car races, Night City Plaza, again nice nod forwards to Cyberpunk 2077, because that's a location you can visit. Appendix 8, Mooks and Defences. So that's the last scenario. You've got some more popcorn kibble. So stats and so on. Appendix B, locations. So you've got breakdown of Night City, so you can slot these scenarios in wherever you need to. A guide for the player character, guide for the benefit of the game master. And then we have potted biographies of all the NPCs that appear in the book. So that's all useful. So essentially, if you play a character, you've got that's benefit of the game master, and for the player characters, so they need to do the research. This is possibly what they'll find out. Then of course, you've got adverts at the back, so The Witcher and you know, for Cyberpunk Combat Zone for the miniatures game. But, yeah. So yes, that is Tales of the Red, Street Stories for Cyberpunk Red, published by Talsorian Games. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button. down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings of Nook, where you'll see me out here with a package from which I will unbox a book or game, chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button down below. In the meantime, thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook. I'll be back again soon. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.